All right, heading into round one here with Axis Wave versus FPX First half here, so no points are on the table just yet. Completely blank slate. ZQ has selected Sacred Heart Hospital as our map, which is a very, very survivor-sided map. It's a bit of a risk, honestly, locking in Sacred Heart as our first map here, because you give the advantage to your survivors, but that does mean that your hunter, depending on how that survivor round goes, your hunter is still at a disadvantage just by virtue of having to hunt on Sacred Heart Hospital. So, a very bold strategy here from ZQ, but we'll see how that pans out. We're going to have KaKaKa lock in Lawyer and Dancer as our first two bans, and in response, ZQ is going to select the Seer as well as the Perfumer, so we're really going for these tanks here. Survivors that can take as many hits as possible. I wouldn't be surprised to see either a Mercenary ban or a Mercenary pick coming up. Maybe something to do with Psychologist, especially if we're going for these tanks. But Perfumer and Seer, definitely very strong first two picks here. They will be locked out for the remainder of the round, so that is something to contend with. However, they can, there are replacements for Seer. You can bring out that Psychologist later on. So it's a bold move here, but it's definitely a statement that they need to make. We're going to see Priestess banned here. Definitely not a surprise. ZQ is not afraid of picking that Priestess, so good to take her off the table. However, we are going to meet with the Antiquarian. So this is two very heavy hitters here for this first round lineup. Seer and Antiquarian, as well as our Mercenary rounding us off. We do have that first officer ban. Mercenary, slightly worse of a rescue against a hunter like Opera Singer. Doesn't have as much in the chase category. And can be stuffed a little bit easier than first officer if we're going to be looking at an Opera Singer. Now, that is the thing here. KaKaKa does have a pretty wide hunter pool, as well as hunters that are decent on Sacred Heart Hospital. We do have a Bonbon. We do have a Hermit. Hermit especially is what I'm thinking of here, because KaKaKa is a Hermit main. KaKaKa has played Hermit very effectively on Sacred Heart Hospital, so if we don't go with the Opera Singer here, obviously Opera Singer here is a good choice still, because she is still at the top of the meta for very good reason. However, KaKaKa is not the round 2 hunter. Ryaze is the round 2 hunter, and Ryaze is also an Opera Singer main, so Opera Singer likely going to be banned round 2 no matter what. So it doesn't, if we don't lock in Opera Singer here, and that is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to see that Hermit coming out here from KaKaKa. Very exciting for me, obviously. I am a very big fan of Hermit gameplay, especially KaKaKa Hermit gameplay. So yeah, very fun stuff here heading into this round 1. Now, Hermit in round 1 is definitely high risk, high reward, especially on a map like Sacred Heart Hospital. You can just get, pallet spammed and kited here. And Hermit's biggest weakness is teams that can communicate. We also have the Perfumer, we have the Seer as well. Mercenary is a little bit weak here. Mercenary not being banned is definitely a good thing for KaKaKa. Mercenary, very vulnerable to chip damage. Hermit deals 1.2 damage by default with every hit. And with the distributed damage, it's pretty easy to, leave a chip on the Mercenary, allow him to not get healed up, and then he's more vulnerable coming in for the rescue. With this spawn, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Mercenary does end up taking the first chase. It is risky. However, Mercenary is vulnerable against a Hermit because of that chip damage being in play. Now, Perfumer, Seer, I would say less so taking this first chase just because we are in the hospital. That's a much more difficult place to maneuver. Antiquarian, not going to be a good first chase here. She does still have the stuns. Obviously, you can stun her before she stuns you, but No Presence Hermit doesn't have nearly as many charges to work with, so chasing the Antiquarian first, not going to be a good idea. I would say definitely expecting a Perfumer or Mercenary, I think are our best two options here, especially since it looks like Perfumer is actually going to be carrying Tideturn. Now, this isn't a bad choice, especially since we do have both Seer and Antiquarian do have broken windows. All members of the team do have borrowed time, but Perfumer as a secondary rescuer is interesting. I play Perfumer like that, but also I am not a pro player, so I'm I'm happy to see that strategy coming out here, but heading into the match now, we are going to see Perfumer actually taking that charge here, not quite rotating off the Cypher yet, though, which is a little bit interesting. KaKaKa is fast approaching, but we are in a very strong kiting area in these ruins, so Sunus does have quite a bit to work with. We're going to head in looking for this first stun. KaKaKa with a little bit of a red light trick there, trying to hide the direction he's moving here, but beautifully done with that perfume right before that stun went through. And it looks like we are just going to wait out the perfume here, not going to perfume back. That is our first perfume used. Spamming these pallets here, not a bad choice, especially, you know, we can use the next perfume to transition into another area. And right now we're just trying to buy as much time as possible. First chase here, very, very important, especially because, oh, and we're going to see a stun, but the owl is going to go through. And unfortunately, Sana's not quite able to have that perfume back online to avoid that stun, so we will be one hit down. However, first Cypher is already at almost 80% here. A lot of time being spent on this first chase. We're a minute 20 in. And yeah, it looks like we are going to get that charge in on Sun S. Waiting for the stun to come back online, but it looks like, yeah, we are just going to go ahead, run into the corner here. First Cypher is definitely going to be popped by the time we hit this first chair. Very nicely done here from ZQ. Now, this is, you know, not connecting all of the Cyphers at once is a very good Hermit strategy, especially when you do carry Insolence. We're going to see that KaKaKa is very, very close to max presence here on this first chair. However, 4 Cyphers remaining here, nearly 3 Cyphers remaining. That was a very, very good long kite for ZQ. Later, you know, coming into the later stages of the match, KaKaKa is really going to need to keep a handle on that Cypher control. But Mercenary heading in for the rescue here, nicely done right before half. He did take a hit on the way in. Antiquarian did eat some of that damage as well. It looks like Antiquarian's actually going to take a second hit here as Perfumer shares that damage. Now, this does mean that Perfumer can stay up for longer, however, she is pretty much a hit away from death. So a little bit unfortunate there, but we still have another chair to sit through. We still have 3 Cyphers remaining, and those Cyphers are coming along pretty smoothly. We're going to use the blink here just to get that down as soon as possible, not wanting to, you know, sit in that pallet animation, allow that stun to go to waste. And that's going to be our second chair. Now, this chair is much more difficult to rescue from. This corner chair, you know, there's very few places to really effectively rotate into. Sanas does have 1 perfume remaining. However, it's a matter of if he's going to be able to use that, and if they're going to actually come for this rescue. It does look like Mercenary heading into the area, but it may just be giving tinnitus. Not rescuing Perfumer here is definitely a good call from ZQ. They do need to keep their survivors with as little damage as possible across the board. But KaKaKa has gotten the memo. We are going to search for our next target here. Heading in the direction of Seer a little bit. Yes, okay, it looks like we are going to continue heading for Seer here. Did catch sight of that blood trail. And yeah, getting the stun out on the pallet here. Unfortunately, Seer has moved away from it. Looks like we're just going to take this chase into the shack here. Cypher's still coming along. That 90% Cypher is still on the connection, so that will be popped sooner or later. Nicely done with the double stun here just to keep ZB in place, and that's going to start getting our damage racked up on the rest of the team. So unfortunately, without Trump card here, we can't switch to teleport, so we will be stuck with Blink for the remainder of the match. But yeah, KaKaKa's not in bad position here. I would say we can definitely get at least a draw out of this situation, even with approaching 1 Cypher remaining. Unfortunately, missing that stun here, we're going to actually disconnect the Cyphers, force them to not be able to change their polarity. Changing targets now, it looks like. We're going to head into the hospital looking for someone who is not the Seer. Right now, KaKaKa really trying to disrupt this Cypher progress. And it is just taking some time to move around the map because Hermit movement speed, not that fast. We don't have teleport, but we're just taking the kite now. We're going to get the double stun in here. Nicely done there, and taking a hit. Unfortunately, Seer is going to carry some of that damage, so we're not going to have a chair just yet. 99% Cypher, though. And it looks like we're actually going to be healing up here, looking for kind of the longevity of this match. Antiquarian, though, is going to go down. Now, Seer can come in for this rescue very comfortably. Mercenary, I believe, can as well. He's not 1 hit away. But he is going to go ahead and just pop that. Yeah, we are going to be able to pop that cipher, and we are at one cipher remaining here. KaKaKa knows there is someone in this hospital, trying to sniff them out. SXY moving around the upper level here. It does look like KaKaKa's caught sight of him, so we are going to place the double stun here. Nicely done there. Unfortunately, not able to get the stun on Antiquarian. Mercenary is going to go ahead and just take that charge once again. Both of them are on the blue polarity. I do think that this next hit will down. Yes, this next hit will down Mercenary. Unfortunately, it won't down Antiquarian here, but we are just going to go ahead and continue the chase on Antiquarian. Ciphers are still moving. We're looking at Seer decoding. Blink is online, but it looks like we're actually going to change targets entirely, switching back to the Cypher control here. KaKaKa looking for ZB. SXY still on the ground. We do still have self-heal, but that is going to force Antiquarian to not decode here. Go ahead and heal up the Mercenary, because at this point, with Seer taking the chase, none of them can comfortably rescue. So yeah, it looks like Antiquarian is going to go ahead and continue to heal up, but nicely done on that stun, aiming up there to avoid the map obstacle. Very, very well thought out there. Seer is going to continue this chase. We don't have an owl still. Great aim on that stun once again, getting ZB on the red charge here. We're going to head back to the ciphers now. KaKaKa has figured out that these survivors are healing up. He can't leave them alone for too long. So we're going to head into the hospital here, looking for where they may be. We're heading in the right direction here. Survivors hiding behind the wall here. Need to be very, very careful of not alerting KaKaKa to their presence. But KaKaKa finding Antiquarian here. We're not actually going to go ahead and go for Mercenary, which is smart because he is at full health. Heading back to the Cypher here, but unfortunately not heading in the right direction. This is the unfortunate thing about Hermit Cypher connections, that you can't tell all the ciphers are shaking. You cannot tell where the survivors are. SXY staying within tinnitus range, not wanting to let KaKaKa find any of these survivors. We're looking for the red charge here, trying to down Seer. Unfortunately, SXY avoiding both of those charges. Seer hard at work on that final cipher. Going to look at connecting those ciphers again, but not doing it just yet. We do not want Seer moving off of this polarity. SXY taking a hit there, but cipher is at 99%. Looks like Regicy is going to be on that. Seer moving towards the gate here. Very, very smart communication here from ZQ. And it looks like they are just going to go ahead and pop the cipher. Mercenary taking a blue charge here. Unfortunately, not able to elbow pad out of the way just fast enough. But, oh, beautiful stun right at the edge of the ledge here. SXY is going to go down. Ciphers, or exit gates are connected. ZB is at the final cipher, though. Now, we can teleport from inside the hospital pretty much all the way to the exit gate, but that is a very, very long teleport. Antiquarian coming in, looking for support here. It looks like she's not quite going to be fast enough and is just going to head back towards the gate. Gate at 82%. KaKaKa with the stuns, though, is going to be able to stun both of these survivors off the exit gate. Very, very tense battle. We do have detention here. We're going to blink and a Terror Shock off the gate. Antiquarian using her stick here, trying to get out, but we do have more stuns to work with. Antiquarian still on the charge and is going to get hit out of the exit gate. ZB trying to crawl out, but it's not going to be fast enough. Do we have chairs in the area? Yes, we do. But KaKaKa needs to make sure that these survivors don't crawl out the exit gate at the last second. Going for the chair here. We only have one chair here. It looks like we're actually going to just keep taking these survivors away from the gate. Need to be careful that they do not struggle free with the open exit gate just a few feet away. Regicy trying to crawl away, but unfortunately not going to be able to get far away enough. KaKaKa just taking Regicy all the way away from the gate here. We should be seeing a struggle free sooner or later, but it really comes down to, we do have stuns left. If Antiquarian can make it to the exit gate like this, looking for the charge here, Antiquarian accidentally running into that stun, and that is going to be a 4-man elimination here in round 1 for a Hermit. Just absolutely incredible endgame there. Having those stuns at the end just really, really made that just so tense. And you can see the disappointment there on those survivors' faces. But what a way to make a statement there in round 1.